Hello and welcome to the presentation of my research. My name is Neli Kirilova. I'm a PhD candidate in International Relations and Security Studies at the Corvinus University of Budapest. And also I'm from Bulgaria. The topic of my research is related to my country of origin and more specifically to the Black Sea region. The Black Sea region is of interest of the European Union as it is the southeastern border of the EU and it is intensified with recent security crises and international conflicts. My research will be spread in 5 parts. In the first part, I'll tell you more about the conflicts in the Black Sea region. Then I will tell you why the Organization for Black Sea Economic Cooperation is special and what is its role within the competition between the regional hegemons. In the next part, I will tell you more about the historical competition between interested powers. In the fourth part, I will tell you more about the specific role of each of the hegemons nowadays. In the next part, I will conclude with the found results, and finally I will suggest recommendations and limitations of my research. The current frozen conflicts and security crises around the Black Sea region include Nagorno-Karabakh between Armenia and Azerbaijan, Transnistria in Moldova, South Ossetia and Abkhazia in Georgia, as well as Crimea. In this scope, the Black Sea Economic Cooperation Organization is a specific example of cooperation between two hegemons or two competitors for influence. These are Russia and Turkey. Actually, Turkey proposed the creation of this organization in 1992, exactly after the Soviet Union dissolved. This means that Turkey was trying to relate with Russia and to unite with Russia so that imposure of control over the countries in the Black Sea region could not be implemented by any other actor, those actors being the European Union or NATO or any other potential power in the region. Therefore, we could conclude that in the background of continuous contradictions and competition in the Black Sea region, having the opportunity of organization for cooperation is a unique example that it is possible to communicate and to unite. But of course, it is the unification of two of the regional powers against other regional powers not to have further influence in this region. Among the conflicts of the Black Sea region, we had the recent Crimean annexation in 2014, but also before this the Georgian War in 2008. All these are a result of the competition between Russia and the EU or Russia and NATO. But this competition is not new. It is happening for centuries around the Black Sea region, which brings us to our specific historical comparison of the interests around the Black Sea. As you could see, it is a landlocked area which is connected with the Mediterranean Sea through the Dardanelles and Bosphorus, both of them controlled by Turkey. The other regional competitor, Russia, and the other regional competitor, European Union, and also NATO. I'll further explain why each of them is considered by me as a regional competitor and actor in the international relations, despite the fact that some are countries and some are organizations. If we look back in the history, the first interested empires were the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, the Mongol Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and the Bulgarian Kingdom. The most recent historical periods around the Black Sea mark several areas of competition. The first period of competition was between the Ottomans, or the inherited by them Turks, and Russia. The next period of competition was between NATO and the Soviet Union during the Cold War. and the most recent period of competition is between Russia and the European Union, where the competition is for influence and suggesting values to the countries which surround the Black Sea. My own country, Bulgaria, joined NATO together with Romania in 2004 and the European Union together with Romania in 2007. Other countries made attempts to approximate NATO, for example Georgia in 2008, and Ukraine to be closer to the European Union in 2014. Both of them resulted in conflicts in these countries. Therefore, I would like to highlight that according to the recent scholars, the reasons for security crises and conflicts in the countries of Black Sea region are considered to be two. Number one, the nationalism in these countries, and number two, the geopolitical competition for power. This means that for the current moment the situation is as follows. Russia clearly is trying to recover its influence over the post-Soviet countries. NATO clearly is trying to fill in the gap after the Soviet Union dissolved and to have more members joining from the post-Soviet zone of influence. The European Union clearly is promoting democratic values and is trying to suggest that each country has the right to select how to organize its own development and governmental structure, proposing democracy as the best known so far way to organize it. Therefore, it strongly supports the regional countries to join the European Union and to follow the European values. This would also provide better security of the European Union because all the members would follow the same rules. Russia, the European Union and NATO have more clear position, but the position of Turkey is a more specific one. Why? Because Turkey on the one side is the competitor with Russia historically, but on the other side Turkey proposed to Russia to organize the Black Sea economic cooperation so that they would both be united against the entry of any other potential powers. At least this is what the recent scholars claim about the existence of this organization. Turkey also is a NATO member, but it proposed a union with Russia in this Black Sea Economic Cooperation Organization because it is in the interest of Turkey not to allow further influence of other powers. Turkey had the approximation to the EU, but its relations stopped at some point, and it was clear that for the moment Turkey is not going to become an EU member because some issues could not be solved. Therefore, Turkey has its own position despite its role in the relations with Russia, with the EU and with NATO. It still pursues its own interests. To conclude, despite that the Organization for Black Sea Economic Cooperation has been evaluated as a loose platform for cooperation, it is actually an excellent way to provide communication between countries in conflict between each other and countries with antagonist nature. Especially, it is very important that the regional leaders or regional hegemons are united in the same platform. This means that they would not initiate conflict between each other in their competition, but opposite to this, they would be trying to provide areas for cooperation. This means that also the countries which are dependent and cannot survive on their own within the region are also able to be united over some possible areas of cooperation. Of course, this optimism is not to be endless because not every area of the cooperation is possible. For example, security is not an area that is top priority for this organization, but economic and especially energy cooperation are key for the Black Sea Economic Cooperation Organization. Another topic which is possibly beneficial for all countries is the ecology as well as culture and education. Therefore, we have to note that this opportunity for cooperation is excellent way to provide communication between non-communicating countries in the Black Sea region. The limitations of my study show that not all the regional competitors are included. I just looked at Russia, Turkey, NATO and the EU as the most fresh ones, but actually if we look back in history we could speak about the Greece or the Mongol Empire, or even we could speak about China nowadays, or Iran or the United States. We do not look at, I didn't look at all of them, but only at the most obvious ones. Another limitation is that I did not make a specific exploration of all the areas of cooperation in the organization. However, I highlighted those who are more beneficial for the moment, but maybe an extensive research could be made on all possible areas of cooperation and their effects for the member states. I also did not make specific research on the dependent states or the smaller states in the organization, because I just look from the perspective of the regional hegemons. However, it could be done also for each specific member state. Thank you very much for joining me for this research, and I'm looking forward to meet you again. Goodbye.